Am I the asshole? Firmly telling my husband that I won't agree to invite his friend's widow to our Christmas dinner? My husband's friend passed away months ago, leaving behind his widow wife. My husband considered him a brother, and so he began offering help to his widow and showing up literally every weekend. That's when he's off work to help her with everything. It didn't bother me. I mean, not much, but still. Now he told me that it'd be nice if we invite her to Christmas dinner with us since she has no family and other friends are busy. I refused, but he insisted, saying it'd mean so much to her, especially since this is her first Christmas without her husband and we should comfort her. I refused and said that it's supposed to be a family celebration and my family will show up, so there's enough amount of guests already, but he said she's the one who needs this family atmosphere the most. I snapped and firmly told him I will not agree to let him invite her to Christmas dinner with us, and he needed to drop it cause it made me uncomfortable. He argued, then started sulking about it, saying that I was being cruel for no reason and that he wasn't asking for much. Just an extra chair plate for her. But I said it will be awkward for me and my family, especially since we're not so close. Am I the asshole? Info: have you clearly communicated to your husband how much you deeply resent him spending time with this woman? Because that seems to be the larger issue here to me. Info: I feel like something is missing from this story. What is your relationship with the widow? It sounds like you're uncomfortable with the attention your husband is giving her. Is there a reason for that you didn't share in your story? You told your husband that you think he's banging the widow yet? Info: other friends are busy. Like? With Christmas dinners of their own? That they could invite her to? Info: how much time is your husband actually spending with this woman? What is he helping her with? You don't say it outright, but it sounds like you are jealous of the widow. I get that to a degree, but are you worried there's some sort of affair going on, or do you really just not want a stranger over at your home? Info: do you have legitimate reason to believe the widow and your husband may be having an affair? Or do you trust him? Because that's only reason I could excuse not inviting her, and it's going to affect which way I go on this one. You're the asshole. Mainly because you're directing your feelings about this onto the invite instead of the truth. You don't like how much he's helping her, how close he is with her. That's the real issue here, not the invite, so address it directly. If you think something shady is going on, not inviting her to Christmas doesn't fix anything. You're taking a lot of heat, but it sounds like you might be concerned that your husband's relationship with the widow is becoming borderline inappropriate. I apologize if I'm reading too much into it. The line about him spending time with her every weekend struck a chord with me. Is he building her a craft room? Jesus Christ, do you watch Christmas movies and sympathize with the bad guy? You're the asshole. Maybe you're missing that it's possible your husband wants her around because it's also his first Christmas without his best friend. That maybe having his wife there can help him cope that someone he loved is no longer here. But forget that we need to focus on you and your family. Kind of confused between you're the asshole and not the asshole. She must be terribly lonely, and Christmas is a period spent with family which she doesn't have anymore. On the other hand, your husband spends a huge amount of time with her, and I understand your feelings as well. Maybe talk to your husband about your feelings in a calm manner and arrange something that only you two do together on sometimes during Christmas time, but invite her to the dinner? Maybe it also alleviates some insecurities you have or makes you understand the situation better. Info: do you all typically spend Christmas together? Or would this be a first? Info: why does it bother you that he is helping her? Why don't you want to invite her? I'm going NaH. Can see both sides. But also info: question is, does the widow not have family she can lean on besides your husband? Did her husband have his own family aside from your husband? Why isn't she going with them? I'm going to be controversial and go with NaH. OP has had to sacrifice a ton of time with her husband while the husband is gone to help this widow. Yes, it is kind of him to do so, but is it encroaching on family marital boundaries? We should help others when we can, but not to the detriment of ourselves, our families. You're the asshole. You're missing the spirit of the holiday. What if it were your close friend? I'd hope you'd extend an invite. Cripes. I used to invite my husband's ex-wife and her mother to our holiday meals as they had nowhere to go really. Same with the lady who owned the barn I leased whose kids were far away. And the guys who couldn't get leave to go home when we were with the military. Some of my fave holidays have included people I barely knew. Info: do you believe your husband and his friend's widow are having an affair? Is he spending more time with her than with you? Not the asshole, but the real issue is that your husband became her stand-in husband. A husband is not to share. This is a toxic situation in the making. She needs to rely on her own family and friends, not making your husband her emotional support pet. It sounds like he is neglecting his role towards you to tend to her, and that's where it becomes a problem. You need to have an open and honest conversation with your husband. You're clearly jealous and not okay with his actions. He needs to not be spending all his time over there when it's clearly having an effect on you. Does she have any other family nearby that she can see for the holidays? If not, there needs to be some way to compromise. Maybe invite her only for later in the day for dinner or on the 24th or something. Info: has his relationship with this widow seemed inappropriate in any way? If not, you're the asshole. You're the asshole. Honestly, the way you talk about her makes me think there's some insecurity and jealousy issues here, and possibly some sort of paranoia that she's after your husband. But even setting that aside, she's still in mourning, and so is your husband, who lost his best friend. If you're having a bunch of relatives over on Christmas, why is it so difficult for you to have one more person around? It just seems so insensitive and cruel to make a fuss about something like this. Would it kill you to have a little empathy? Not the asshole. Absolutely not. Forget Christmas spirit or whatever everyone else is referring to. He has spent a lot of time with her. She cannot bring the husband back. But she can slowly fill in a gap, so this is very risky behavior. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You are entitled to choose who you do and do not have in your home, and you are not obligated to share your husband with anyone. I do not buy that this woman has absolutely nobody in her life except for your husband, though that might be what she's telling him to keep him coming round, but whatever the truth is, this is not an okay situation for her or you and your husband. Nah. It's like when firefighters at 911 ended up divorcing their wives to get married to the women their past friends widowed, but also if it's really like his brother, then she must be like his sister by extension, one would hope, and it's just her being lonely and him trying to help. You should sit down and talk to him about your feelings and ask why he keeps getting involved and if he feels some sort of obligation to her. It's clear that it actually has been bothering you. I'm not saying that is wrong or unfounded, but it seems like the truth from what you've written. Tell your husband that. It's not that you don't care for a grieving widow or a friend in need, it's that you are feeling neglected in favor of her by your husband, and this Christmas dinner is the last straw. Explain that to him. He is probably grieving his friend and feels like helping his widow is helping him too. But you also matter. Maybe take her a care package, go together, but don't invite her to dinner unless you feel comfortable. You have too little compassion, and your husband appears from your description to be attempting to fill the void in her life left by his friend. Inviting her to Christmas dinner is the right and kind thing to do. However, you both need to have a conversation and figure out how to help her and where to draw boundaries, because you already have some resentment building about this. OP, are you worried your husband and the widow will form a romantic relationship? Cause that's what your post sounds like. Your outburst seems to be from jealousy. I'm surprised your husband hasn't picked up on your underlying anxiety. If you say it's not, then you're the asshole. If it is, instead of hiding your feelings, sit down and discuss them with your husband.